This is Gary Butterfield.
This is Cole Ross.
And this is Monster, my podcast.
And these are Half Ogres.
There's a monster in my podcast.
Oh, why these guys get a whole entry?
They do.
I don't know why exactly.
So they fit a different niche in ogre society, specifically because they are smarter and faster.
Yes.
This is there's a they make very clear what happens. I think it's like an ogre mother and a human father, I think is what happens here. They're a little bit shorter, but they're smarter and just kind of more dexterous. And so if they can prove themselves and their mettle, they will often end up kind of leading these ogre raiding parties, which has to be nightmarish because also they have a more acute sense of smell than their full-blooded friends. And so they have to deal with the rotten milk stench.
Yeah, which is one of the worst things about ogres. But the thing, like learning about them having a different place in ogre society, the last century had almost nothing on ogre society.
Right.
Like it's not an interesting society to be a part of. Like this slightly smaller, smarter version of just like boring raiding parties is not that cool, you know? So it's kind of a bummer. It's interesting that it's, you expect something like this. And in half ogres are a big part of the world building and kind of meta plot of Arcanum. Mm-hmm. And they talk a lot about it being, there's a really cool reveal as to the origin of those. And there's kind of a wrinkle, but you assume it's going to be sexual assault, right? Mm-hmm. Like you assume it's going to be male ogres on ladies. They do these raiding parties. Like that's kind of the cliche. The fact that it's male humans and female ogres, right? That's an interesting twist on this.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't happen that often. And it can still be like, sex assault. I'm not saying that, but like at the very least, it's subverting that cliche a little bit.
Right. It's subverting the cliche of the rapacious interlopers, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And then like there's a little bit of something in here saying like, oh, the explanation for why this happens is not what people thought. The wizards who studied it, it has nothing to do with humans and ogres sharing like a common ancestor. No, it's just that both of them are incredibly genetically adaptable. Is why they so readily crossbreed. Yeah.
And it's also they can fit into either society, which I think is interesting.
Yeah.
Like it's not like these. I mean, their alignment, of course, is chaotic evil here, but they can fit into human society,
right?
And then they tend to be just kind of soldiers, and kind of laborers, or they can lead the ogres. It's like they can reign in heaven or serve in hell,
right? And it's a little bit, they subvert what you would expect, which is, hey, these big dumb ogres, which I was going to use that not in the proper noun way, but there we go. You would think that they would be, xenophobic and hateful and stuff like that. Like you wouldn't expect a half breed to flourish there, but to see them actually embrace that and embrace their particular talents as opposed to, casting them out gets around the kind of the kind of lazy plot of, any kind of, half blank in D&D, which is I don't fit in anywhere.
Right. Yeah. It's not that interesting, but very similar to normal ogres. I think it'd be more interesting if it happened earlier.
Yeah.
Like in the book. Yeah. So pretty lame. Ogrillions are not that interesting either, other than the fact that it's kind of fun to say. Ogrillions are
Ogrelons.
Ogrelons. I keep saying ogrillion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, ogrillion. I guess that's adding an I that's not there.
No, ogrillion is the play.
No.
where they take an orc ogre and make her into a proper English lady.
Yeah, I would watch Ogrillion. I would make that bet. I bet no, it's a fucking half ogre.
Brought to you by our backers at patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv.